p.m. Well, 7:01 now. So we are going to get started. As soon as I pull up the agenda. All right. This is February 18th, 2021. I'm going to call to order the Yeadon Borough Council legislative meeting. Can we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, beginning with our esteemed mayor?
Certainly. Let us pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gibbs, do you have your disclaimer?
I do. Good evening, everyone. This meeting is being held via Zoom pursuant to the governor's emergency declaration related to COVID-19. As such, the meeting is being recorded. Anything that you discuss in this meeting and your participation in this meeting is consent to be recorded. There is no expectation of privacy. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Please begin with roll call, beginning with our mayor.
Mayor Hopkins,
Present.
President Monroe,
Present.
Vice President Francis,
Present.
Councilor Johnson,
Present.
Councilor Cave,
Hey, everybody, I'm here.
Councilor McCabe,
Present.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Present.
Councilor Roadcloud,
Here.
Solicitor Gibbs,
Good evening, again, President.
Mr. Nichols. He's on.
Present.
Miss Malvena,
Here.
Miss James. I don't see her. Do you have her, Mr. Gibbs? I don't see her on the call. I do not see Miss James in that. Oh, wait, I do. Miss James.
Yes, I'm on. Thank you. Thank you for putting me.
I apologize, Ms. James. I missed you there.
And that concludes the call, Council President.
Thank you. Can we move on to our citizens forum? Are there
Ladies
any
and gentlemen.
citizens wishing to speak?
Sorry, Madam President. Go ahead.
I said, were there any citizens wishing to speak?
No, if you wish to speak at this time for Citizens Forum, please raise your hand, ma'am. I want to recognize Ms. Mary Gorell.
All right, Ms. Gorell.
Hi.
First of all, I want to thank you, Madam President. You were the one who made the change on the calendar on the borough's website, so people would know that the meetings are virtual, because some people in the borough just don't know, and because I'm trying to encourage people to attend the meetings. Also, we had talked about the corner of Myra and Church Lane many times. There's a lot of congestion there from Major's Market, and there was some discussion before about whether or not they have parking in the back. I'm pretty sure they don't, but the snow and ice, it's getting more and more dangerous when people are coming around that corner, turning onto Myra from Church Lane. Because if you're headed towards Church Lane on Myra, you can't see people turning that corner, and especially when people are parked. And I just want to know if there's something that can be done about that.
I think that would be something for our chief.
Yeah, I can continue to have enforcement officer and officers issue tickets. The problem there is, we can't be there 24/7. That's the problem. But I am aware that of the problems at that intersection related to the parking with the market. I don't know what I don't know whether or not to. I don't know what the guy has to do to try and find parking for himself, but it does get very busy there during the lunch hour.
So maybe we can consider something additional, like not having parking on one side of the street. I know that sometimes it's congested because there are cars parked on both sides. But now that the chief is also, also aware, we'll make sure to keep an eye on that. So thank you, Ms. Corral. And Chief, I'll provide you her contact information so you can follow up with her with any additional information.
Okay, I have another question. When someone puts in a application for a handicap space in front of their house,
Mhm.
does someone still come out to draw the lines or refresh the lines in the street when those lines wear out? I'm not asking for myself. Another citizen asked me about it, and he said that he talked to the gentleman. I guess that's I don't even know what that's called, right there across from the field where the gentlemen are there. And he said that he asked someone there and they said that they don't do that anymore.
No, no. What happens is the renewals at the beginning of the year verify that, number one, that the spot is still warranted. Occasionally, we have a resident that unfortunately passes away or moves. As a result, the spot would then be removed. If it's
So Chief, I don't think that's the question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't think that was the question. It was about painting the lines in the
yeah,
street.
Well,
public
yeah,
works will do that.
he wanted to know who does that. And if I know that they have to give you something that says from their doctor that they are disabled. And even if the note says that they're permanently disabled, they have to renew this application every year to have those lines painted and that space reserved, correct?
That's
So
correct.
yeah, but we decided a while ago, Chief, and I'm not sure if this was before you came on, that we no longer paint the actual street. It's the street sign that delineates where the space is. We don't paint the lines in the street anymore. That was a previous practice. So, but yes, there is a renewal process every year.
Whether or not you're considered permanently disabled.
Yeah, so Ms. Corral, if I can jump in, and this is Charles Gibbs. The reason for that is when we did the ordinance is the borough needs proof that someone is still living at the address.
Right. Okay.
And we just can't assume that the person's living there or didn't go move with a family member. So the renewal process every year helps make sure that we know who's there, because the other side is that the borough was getting complaints before we did the ordinance, the signs were never coming down and someone moved, was deceased, no longer was disabled.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask the chief a question with respect to that that issue, the handicap parking? Chief, now we no longer paint the lines in the street. So how would one park who has the handicap sign? Is it behind the sign, in front of the sign? How does one park? Because there's only one sign. It's not like there's two poles and a sign on each of the poles where it would basically carve out a space for one to park. So if one has the handicap, how would one know how to park?
Yeah, and again, my recollection, which may be off, is my understanding was that we were not going to be painting. You remember how the blue handicap thing and the thing? Well, the problem with that, leaving that there, if once the spot was ultimately removed, then that was in the street.
Right.
So, if I recall, I believe my recommendation was to paint two white lines, one white line and one line in the back, so they knew where to park.
Okay. So.
Okay, but we also voted against that as well, Chief, because we had a lengthy discussion about, we don't know what type of vehicle they might own. Some people were painting the entire property line, and it ended up being like a space large enough for a bus. So we said that the demarcation would be the street sign.
But the question is, how would one know how to park? So how would that person know how to park and others know not to park in that area? Are they parking in front of that sign or behind the sign?
Then they would be putting the sign at the beginning of their address, so that they would be the vehicle pretty much in front of it.
Right. May I make a suggestion as well? And Chief, I do remember exactly what you're saying, put it, as far as the sign. But is it possible, just like Chief saying, putting the sign, you know, where the address actually is, and instead of painting in the street, can we paint that little strip of cement right there to give a length as to maybe the size of a van, like most parking lots do now, because most people use vans other than the little sedans as they used to have. Is that something that we can toy around with?
So Councilor Johnson, then at that point, we're assuming that a person is handicapped, needs a handicapped vehicle. Someone could have there are many different reasons that someone could have a handicapped parking pass. So we definitely had this discussion before and decided that painting it would demarcate a specific space that could, you know, and with limited parking, we couldn't determine what size vehicle they had. You know, they could drive a pickup truck and still have a handicap plate. So we didn't want to get into that. And then also that would, you know, we were finding that when there were multiple spaces on the street, then it kind of threw off the parking for the rest of the street. So
I remember all of these conversations. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we need to make sure that we continue with the practice that we already voted on and made sure that, you know, we stick to the ordinance, that it's the sign that demarcates where it begins. And we have to also remember that just because someone applies for a space in front of their home, anyone with a handicap placard can park in that space. It's not specific. You know,
That's
we would
right.
hope that people would use common courtesy for their neighbors who may have a disability, but we, you know, that space isn't just reserved for them. All right.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right. So
My last question is, I noticed that this is a webinar, so the meetings that are held on the second Thursday are different than the third Thursday in terms of the Zoom format?
I think that that was just an administrative error, because we had 2 back-to-back meetings last week. So our meetings are typically webinars. All right.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gibbs.
Madam President, there's no one else with their hand raised.
All right, we will move on to the approval of our meeting minutes. There are corrected minutes for November 19th, 2020, the legislative meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, I will conduct a roll call vote based on the order that councilors appear on my screen. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe, Councilor Francis.
Yes.
Councilor McCabe is a yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard someone else say yes. Okay, and Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries. The January 14th, 2021 caucus meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries. The legislative meeting minutes for January 21st, 2021. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote if there aren't any questions. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries. I will now move on to our mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. My report stands as submitted in caucus last week. I just want to highlight one or two things. Again, we had a great grand opening of our community health center on January 28th with the county and a lot of press, and will be the site of, it will serve as the first site of the county health center. County, we're the only county in Pennsylvania that doesn't have a health center. And the health center will be housed right here in Yeadon at 125 Chester Avenue in that McDade Mall. We'll provide COVID-19 vaccines. And on the vaccine front, we're really behind the shipment. They received, I believe, only 1,000 last week. This week, I understand with the weather, that's been also curtailed, it's interrupted the supply. The good thing is that help is on the way. Our administration, as promised or was contracted or is in the process of contracting 100 million vaccines. Johnson & Johnson is about to be approved. They'll be the fourth pharmaceutical company to issue a vaccine once it's approved by the CDC. J&J is going to be a one-shot deal instead of the two-shot deal, and we encourage residents to sign up for the vaccine, and we encourage everybody to take the vaccine. The ramping up has been slow. It's been slow nationally. It's been slow in our area, but help is on the way. Be patient, and in the meantime, continue to social distance and wear masks until the vaccine is is in full force. We're having a lot more snow, and I believe that's part of the effect of the COVID, where there's not a lot of cars on the road and there's not a lot of the emissions have gone down. Weather patterns have always been changing. We see what's happening in Texas, but one of the effects is that this is how the winter used to be 20 or 30 years ago. So what we're facing is actually normal for our area. It's been abnormal the last decade or so. But on that note, we have a lot of seniors who do need help, and we used to have a lineup of volunteers that because of attrition or whatever are moving out, that we don't have that anymore. So we have on our website volunteers, soliciting volunteers that can help seniors shovel their snow. And I'm not sure if so it's been online for about 2 weeks. I'm not sure if we have any volunteers. And then the Nile Swim Club, we've been giving out food, distribution of food every Saturday. Last Saturday, there was 2,000 boxes of food, but normally they've been giving out 1,000 boxes each Saturday morning, and that's been going very well. So a lot of things are happening, notwithstanding the pandemic. And for today's snow, I know Public Works has been out, and I've been out there seeing the plow trucks and salting, and the roads are getting back to normal. That ends my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll move on to the
I
president's
actually have a
report.
question for the mayor, please. With respect to the snow.
So Councilor Roll Cloud, I'm sorry, I'm gonna hit the exit when you, did you wait to be recognized when you're wishing to
I
speak?
have a question for Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Roll Call.
Go
You can
ahead.
continue.
With respect to the volunteer list for the snow removal to help seniors in the community, are we reaching out to, for community service? There's agencies that provide volunteers through community service. I believe there was a agency in media.
Yes, community service has actually been inactive during COVID. So that was mentioned last week for another, when Miranda was talking about the newsletter and how we get that and the calendars distributed, that since COVID happened, there haven't been people assigned to community service, and the courts are closed as well. So we wouldn't be able to utilize them.
Oh, so the courts are, they're postponing community service, court-appointed
Yes,
community service.
they're
Okay,
not bringing community service out
okay.
because in order to do that, they usually ride together in one van,
Right,
and that's a COVID issue at this time.
okay, good enough, thank you.
Yeah, we used to have, I know Rafi and his brother and others have done it in the past, and hopefully, I don't know if we had any, you know, if any more signed up, Miranda? Have we checked?
Mayor, if I can break in, I think.
Hold on, Rufus. Yes, we actually did have Mr. White reached out to. Is that what you were going to say, Rufus?
Yes, I was getting ready to say
Carry
that.
on. Rufus has it.
Yes, we did have someone reach out, Mr. White. He did give us his information. We just have to get him the people who actually call us because we were not in the office today. When we checked the phones in the morning, if there is people there, we will refer them to him. We actually did have one other person, I think, spoke up that said that they may help out in the borough. So again, tomorrow when we get into the office, we will be checking the line and notifying Mr. White in reference to that.
Okay, good. Folks are starting to volunteer. One other thing, Madam President, we've had a lot of inquiries about the vaccine in the health center. So the next mayor's forum on Thursday, March 4th, and we'll heavily advertise that. We're going to have an expert from the county be the main speaker to advise us of talk about the health center and the vaccine, as well as a representative, trying to get a representative from county council to join us as well. So that's an opportunity where we can fill in the residents on, given more detail on the wellness center, soon to be health center. So that'll be on Thursday, March 4th from 7 to 8:30, and that will be on the website.
All right, thank you, Mayor. We'll move on to our president's report. I know that the health center was closed a few days last week, and a few residents have reached out inquiring whether there was a reason. There was actually a roof leak in the new construction once there was some heavy precipitation, and it did take a few days to repair, but they were right back up and running. There may seem to be a lull in activity there. That's mainly because once people get vaccinated, they have to reserve a specific amount of doses for that second dose of the vaccine. So, there may be a lull in the time between people are vaccinated and administer their second dose. As we move on and more first doses are administered, we'll see a steady stream of people coming in for first and second doses. So it is up and running at as full capacity as they can with the amount of vaccines that they have. So there ends my report, and now we'll move on to our manager's report.
Good evening. I asked that my report be submitted as I
Accepted as submitted at caucus?
yes.
Got a little tongue-tied, we all do.
Thank you. We also understand, and I do see that there's a question. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Was that it?
No, just the two
Okay.
additions are that we were closed today due to the inclement weather, and we have on the agenda as council news, few additional requests for code officers, a Mr. Campbell III and a Mr. Pyatt, and that concludes the report.
All right, thank you. I did see that there was a comment in the chat about not seeing all of the panelists. I just ask that we exercise some patience and discretion, understanding that with this new method of having our meetings, we are entering people's homes, and sometimes it's not conducive to have your video screen on. You know, we'd love to see as many of us as we can, but I know some of us are home with our little ones, and also, you know, which is not something that we would be doing if we were able to be in council chambers. So I know that I know that if we could, we would have our videos on, but we are operating from our homes with, you know, right now I have several people in my home on other Zooms as well. So we're doing the best we can. So thank you for your patience and understanding. We will move on to our solicitor's report.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Black History Month. I want to first begin by asking council for a motion authorizing a hearing to examine the removal of a civil service commission member for the next caucus meeting.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilor Rowe-Cloud. Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
You're on mute.
Can you repeat the motion, please?
Motion is to conduct a hearing for the potential removal of a civil service commission member.
Yes. Thank you.
Councilor Jones-Waters.
Yes.
Councilor Cade.
Yes.
Councilor McCabe.
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes, from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
I next ask council for a motion authorizing the advertisement for the removal of shade trees within the borough.
So
We
moved.
would have a hearing first. So we would advertise it, council will consider it at a meeting, and then we can discuss it then, but this is just for advertisement.
So move, Rafi.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question,
I have a question.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
With respect to removal, you said removal of shade trees.
Yes, ma'am.
Should we specifically say defective shade trees or just in general shade trees?
It's the removal of shade trees. Defective shade trees is not a definition in our borough code, but our public works person will make a recommendation to council, and has made a recommendation to council on the actual trees that need to be removed, and I believe they are all deceased or in a state of repair that they cannot be rehabbed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'll conduct the roll call vote at this time. Councilor Rowe-Cloud.
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters.
Yes.
Councilor Cade.
Yes.
Councilor McCabe.
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes, from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Madam President, council met this evening in executive session and last Thursday in executive session to discuss potential litigation, personnel, and labor relations. With that, my report is concluded for this evening.
Thank you
Unless there
very
are any
much.
questions for me. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, we'll move on to our tax collectors report. Ms. James.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My report remains the same. Just an announcement, the 2021 tax bills that were mailed last Thursday. And that concludes my announcement.
Thank you very much. We will move on to our library report. Director Payne.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Madam President, my report stands as submitted in caucus last week. Just a few highlights, though. I wanted to let you know we reopened for doorside service on Tuesday, and also remind everyone about our upcoming Black History Month program this Monday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. Please join us for a virtual lecture entitled The Life and Legacy of Frederick Douglass by guest lecturer Dr. C. James Trotman, author and professor emeritus and founding director of the Frederick Douglass Institute at Westchester University. And special thanks in advance to Council President Monroe for graciously offering to be our host that evening. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And I guess the information is also on our website. Should they need login information?
Yes,
Perfect.
it's on the website.
Great. Thank you. So we'll move on to our engineers report. Ms. Mulvana.
Good evening. The first item on the list is a continuation of the surveillance camera project. Signal Service did phase 1 and presented their findings to the Borough Committee and has submitted a proposal to conduct a radio frequency analysis. And what that will do is they'll check the communication between the different elevations where they would propose the cameras to make sure that there's continuity between each of the cameras. And that proposal is in the amount of, I had to open up their proposal to read that to you. Why
is it A on our agenda?
It is. It's
$15,480.
Thank you. So it would be, a motion would be to accept Signal Services proposal for phase 2 in the amount of $15,480.
So move, Madam President.
Second, Madam President.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote. I already understand that Mayor Hepkins has 2 votes, 2 yes votes. Councilor Roadcloud.
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters.
Yes.
Councilor Cave.
Yes.
Councilor McCabe.
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from the mayor and myself. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Super.
The second item is related to the roof section that has the HVAC units where the leak went into the firehouse. And we did receive a proposal from Lynn Architects to install a door in the 3rd floor lunchroom that would lead, and a ladder that would lead down to that roof section. The current method is that they put a ladder against the building, which is unsafe. And your HVAC contractor has said that he will not use that ladder any longer. He wants, we should be code compliant, OSHA compliant. So we did ask for a proposal to construct a door opening and a compliant ladder down to the roof, and then a quote for the preparation of the specs for that, plus the replacement of the roof unit, of the roof. And Lynn Architect gave us a proposal which would not exceed $14,500. It will likely come in less than that because we'll prepare the bid documents and they'll just do the architecture work. So the motion would be to accept the proposal for architectural services for the design of a door opening and a ladder to the roof section housing where the HVAC units are, and for the replacement of that same roof in the amount of $14,500.
So move, Madam President.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, having been moved and properly seconded on the question.
Yeah, just to clarify, you said a ladder up into the 2nd section. I thought we weren't doing a ladder. Can you clarify that?
Well, it's an OSHA compliant ladder, so it'll have side to it. It'll be rigid. It'll be attached to the structure.
Got it.
What they're actually doing now is climbing up from the ground level, putting a ladder against it, against the building, and climbing up that ladder.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilor Roadcloud.
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Counselor Cade,
Yes.
Counselor McCabe,
Yes.
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Thank you. The third item is there was discussion last week about various inlets that need to be rehabbed or replaced. And we did receive a list from Public Works, and we're proposing a project that would cover 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, maybe even 11 inlets with a not to exceed of $70,000 for the replacement. And I did speak to the finance director to make sure that there were sufficient funds, so he authorized that amount. And it would be done using liquid fuels. I'm sorry, so the motion is to authorize NDI to apply for liquid fuels project on DOT grants. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my voice.
I'll complete it for you while you can,
Thank
for
you.
DOT grants for the inlet repairs project at the following locations, and the estimated amount not to exceed $70,000 for the inlet replacements, rehabilitation, and engineering at the following locations: 622, 636, 653, and 664 Yeadon Avenue, 811 and 815 Church Lane, the north and south corners of Yeadon Avenue and Gunther Avenue, inlet number 108 at the corner of Yeadon Avenue and Redwood, inlet number 184 on Gunther near the alley for 719 Yeadon Avenue, inlet number 185 on Gunther Avenue near the alley for 723 Yeadon Avenue, the Borough Hall parking lot near the police station, the northwest corner of Darnell Avenue and Pleasant Road, and 931 and 935 Duncan Avenue. Is
Okay,
there a
just
motion?
one, well, I
Sorry.
just have one clarification. I'm sorry, the Borough Hall parking lot inlet is not liquid fuels eligible, so that would have to be done using general fund. But the other ones can be done using liquid fuels.
All right, but that's all within the $70,000.
Yes, we'll just do
Okay.
as many as we can for that 70,000. And then
All
next
right.
year, or whenever it's authorized again, we can put another project in for however many more come up, which I'm sure there'll be more.
Okay, so we'll ask for a motion and second, and then I do have a question.
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
All right, having been moved and properly seconded, I guess my question is, what has there been a priority order, or ranking as to how badly they're damaged in the event that we need to exceed that amount, that the most dangerous ones be done first?
Yes,
All right.
actually, that's kind of the way they're listed.
Oh, okay.
And again, Madam President, Councilor, you can ask the question. I may be answering it, but go ahead.
Just a small one. I didn't get the number of inlets. Could you just give me that number again?
Sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, not counting the one on the Borough parking lot.
Thank you.
And I just was going to make mention to stress the fact that these are not general operating dollars. They're liquid fuse dollars. They are restricted funds, and we have carryover from the last 2 years. And PennDOT is very adamant, Eileen will tell you about you spending your carryover so that your new allocation from the state won't be reduced.
All righty. I'll ask for a roll call vote. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
Okay, the next item is related to that. It's to liquid fuels, and it would be for a resurfacing project. And all the locations that are identified here have had sewer work done, sanitary sewer work, that we now want to pave the locations where the sewer work was done so that those trenches are restored properly. So it would be to authorize NDI to apply for a liquid fuels project on DOT grants for the paving resurfacing at the following locations for the estimated amount of $130,000 at the following locations: intersection of Cypress Avenue and Parmley Avenue, Duncan Avenue from 919 Duncan Avenue to Darnell Avenue, and West Cobbs Creek Parkway from Longacre Boulevard to Whitby Avenue.
So move, Madam President.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, I'll call for the roll call vote. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yeah.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Okay, just two more things on that this will not cover every area where sanitary sewer work is done. And it also will not be done until after paving is allowed to be done. So it will be sometime in April or May before you see this work completed. And then the last item, last week we discussed the elevator maintenance contract. And at that time, I advised that the proposal submitted by Tri-State Elevator was considered ineligible, and we thought that the only other bidder was Code, was a company named Code. And turns out that there was a bid submitted by Excel Elevator, and it was provided to us after the meeting last week. So we are in the process of evaluating that, and we're hoping to have a references checked and understanding of the scope of work for the price that they proposed ready for you tonight, but they haven't answered. I don't know whether it was weather related or not. But so I guess I was thinking you could make an award and make it contingent upon suitable references and an agreement of the understanding of the scope of work if you wanted. Otherwise, it would wait till next month, but it's up to you guys.
I'm not comfortable with council voting without having a bid spec chart to consider, Eileen, and making sure that everything is done before they vote and make an award.
Okay, so we'll do that next month. And that's it then.
All right. Let's hope the elevator stays functioning between then. All right, that ends your report, Eileen?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to our finance department. Mr. Cave.
Good evening, everybody. Madam President, can I have a motion to consider the accounts payable list?
Okay, and are we considering the accounts payable list with the additions as one?
Yeah, I'm assuming they're all together in the motion.
Right.
I mean, unless anybody has any questions on the one, since we did receive it.
Well, we would need to move it and second it first.
Okay.
So moved,
Is there a motion?
Madam President. I'll second.
All right, having been moved and seconded on the question.
I do have a question also. Is there a way that we can consider a cheaper method of sending the delinquent notices? Are there other methods that we can review? Maybe it's other municipalities are doing, or is it the way we send them the only method?
So Councilor Cave, Ms. James may have a different answer for you, but what I'll say, this year is the first year that Delaware County changed a lot of things as it relates to delinquent taxes, delinquent notices, what's turned over to them, what we're now responsible for. They stopped offering a lot of services that they had in the past. So we most certainly can look at other avenues. I think this year, Ms. James was under the gun a bit to kind of get them out so that we can meet the time requirement when we had to have them out. So to answer your question, yes, but I wanted to also offer the explanation as to why it was that way.
Awesome. And am I right in assuming that's relatively high, the amount that we paid this year compared to previous year?
Ms. James?
For the delinquent fees, what are you saying?
The notices.
It was the same percentage.
I guess what I'm asking is the cost that we're paying to send out those notices more this year, or is that relatively the same? It looked like that number was relatively high.
I get.
Go ahead.
Was this one of the services that the county formerly provided, or Mr. Nichols?
The delinquent taxes?
No, the notices.
The notices were sent previously by Delaware County. They no
Okay,
longer
so
do.
I guess I guess it would be
And
high
I
if
hear
it
what
was
he's
something
saying
that
now.
we hadn't done
Yeah,
before.
that's right. And now we have a new company doing it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that we were previously responsible for, but
Absolutely.
this
It's
being our
brand new.
first year,
It's
we
our
can
first year.
definitely shop around.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Is there any
Yeah.
more
I
questions?
have a question.
Councilor Johnson.
Under refuge, under refuge, code number 427460, Portnoy. Can someone explain why we're given Portnoy and from refuge?
Portnoy is the collection agency that the borough uses when you have delinquent taxes. The borough part of the taxes go back to the county. Portnoy takes over the sewer and trash portion of it. If you do not pay your taxes by December 31st, that's the way it's divided.
Okay, it's a division. All righty. Thank you.
And Counselor, further explanation, when Portnoy recovers a lot of the fees that we pay them once they recoup their dollars from the delinquent homeowners. So though we're giving them about $9,500 here, we're probably going to recoup a vast majority of that once they, pass that fee on to the homeowner for being delinquent.
That will come
at
back.
a future date. Yes.
Comes back.
Okay. All righty. Thank you, guys.
All right. If there are no more questions, we'll call for the vote. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
And Madam President Leslie, I'm looking for a motion to consider the cash balance report.
So moved, Madam President.
Thank
Second.
you. Having been moved and properly seconded on the question, hearing none, I'll call for the roll call vote. Councilor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cave,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries.
That's it, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to ordinance and zoning.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
We just had our code meeting this past Tuesday, and we discussed various matters, but in particular, we discussed some ordinances that we need to have created sooner than later. One of the ordinances we discussed creating has to do with blocking, putting items in the street during snowstorms to save parking spaces. Although we do have a current ordinance that can be utilized to enforce same, it would probably be better if we had an ordinance directly relating to cones and chairs during storms, snowstorms, just to save parking spaces. Another ordinance that the code department felt was necessary to create was an ordinance relating to construction of tiny homes. We've been noticing, people been constructing some homes, and we call them tiny homes. Some people, you know, they say they want a 2-car garage with an in-law suite. That's considered a home, an in-law suite. And although we do go by the building codes, we still need to have some sort of ordinance surrounding same, because this does seem to be the new phase coming up. So that was discussed. Also, the common driveways, of course, trying to figure out what we can do to have these common driveways, the dilapidated common driveways, repaired. So we did a little research and we came up with a few grants. One of the grants was called the NAP grant, Neighborhood Assistance Grant. So I believe Mr. Nichols is going to look into that grant to find out the specifics of same and to determine whether or not it would be able to assist the residents in getting their driveways, their common driveways repaired. I believe that was about the gist of our meeting. And while I'm speaking, I'll just reiterate, I had a meeting today with State Representative Joanna McClinton, and we talked about economic development. A few of us, for quite a while, have been saying that we wanted to bring economic development to Yeadon, and unfortunately, no action has been taken place. So I took it upon myself to have a discussion with Representative McClinton to find out what, if anything, she would be able to do to assist us in bringing economic development to Yeadon. Economic development is good because it will bring additional revenues to our borough, much needed revenues. And not only that, it'll give the residents something to look forward to, something to do, the youth, the elderly, the in-between, everybody. And one of the ideas I was kind of floating around based upon several conversations with various residents was we were talking about the Yeadon Swim Club area. And we were thinking it would be nice to have that somewhat of a recreational hub, you know, and I'm just floating, you know, just some ideas, nothing's in concrete, but something along the lines of a movie theater, a bowling alley, some eateries along the lines of cafes, large green space, a gym, and also maybe a little wine and spirit shop. So we would have a hub that is just recreation that Yeadon could have for people to go to and have something to do. Also, we talked about the empty lot on Church Lane where the old movie theater used to stand. And we were throwing around ideas, something similar to maybe a small scale supermarket. So Representative McClinton seems to be very optimistic with those ideas. And we discussed a redevelopment assistance capital program, which is a grant. I don't know too much about that grant. I believe it is a matching grant, but for a project such of what I just stated, that would fit right into that category of that grant. But before we even look into that grant, and I believe the opening up period is coming up in March, and we only have 30 days to apply for same, I believe. And Mr. Nichols, please correct me if I'm wrong. Before we do that, I think what we should consider is a revitalization study. And there are grants for such a study that would allow professionals to come in, consultants to come in, actually look at the spaces that we're looking to develop and let us know what's the best ideas to fulfill that space. And I believe if we have that study done professionally, it would be a little easier for us to proceed to the next section and apply for the grant and show that we had this study done and we're serious about it and we want to move forward. So I would ask council for consideration of allowing borough management to apply for a revitalization study grant tonight so that we can get this ball actually moving.
All right, thank you,
Madam
Councilor
Yeah,
Roll
Madam
Call.
President.
We actually have started this process prior to COVID. We have feasibility studies done on all of the areas that you discussed and also have developers lined up. The only issue has been COVID right now. We are, and Mr. Nichols, you can confirm, we are aware of the DCED grant, the RCAP grants, and we are actively applying for all of them. It's just within the past year, Mr. Vice President Francis was instrumental in getting some of those feasibility studies completed as well. So we will be moving forward with those areas, but I wanted to also remind you that we are, we're in the zoning and ordinance part of your meeting, and there are 2 motions under that you would need to present for consideration.
Okay, so I'm sorry. It would have been nice to know that you guys were actually on top of this, and I could have saved a lot of time and energy. So it would behoove us, to share this information amongst everyone involved. And with that,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Councilor Francis,
I'm sorry.
I'll recognize you once Councilor Rowe-Cloud has completed her motions.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilor Rowe-Cloud, could you present your motions, please?
Okay, and the motions for the hiring of, let me see here.
So under A, it would be Albert Campbell III as a
I'm
full-time
sorry.
code
We're
enforcement
asking
officer.
for consideration for the hiring of Albert Campbell III as a full-time code officer.
So move, Madam President.
Second, Madam President.
Having been moved and seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilor Rowe-Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
It's a yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
The second motion for consideration is for the hiring of Jamar Pyatt as a full-time code enforcement officer.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilor Rowe-Cloud,
Yes.
Councilor Jones-Waters,
Yes.
Councilor Cade,
Yes.
Councilor McCabe,
Yes.
Councilor Francis,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. And I'd like to recognize Councilor Francis. You had a question or a comment?
Yes. Yes, President. Getting back to the recreation center, we've been discussing this for about a couple of years. Basically, the COVID has slowed up. We've gotten with Mr. Nichols to do some research. It was also in the comprehensive plan from 2001 that is recommended that it be a recreation center. And the reason that we hadn't said too much to anybody, because basically we're still discussing and trying to get something to present to council. So again, we're still discussing, trying to get fact finding, and as we get more information, we will share it with everybody. Thank you.
And Councilor
That was,
Okay.
Madam President. Madam
Coun-
President,
Councilor McCabe, yes.
that I just wanted to point out that that was also a part of the goals for the previous election, during the previous period of election.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nichols, I heard you interject.
Yeah, I was trying to get in here because I heard Councilor Roycloud say two things, and I wanted to make sure that we're all clear. The RCAP, that is a total separate thing from the DCED development grant is open now and it is due in 30 days. We would need authorization. I do feel that we should apply for that grant so that we can just have not necessarily a feasibility study done, but a development concept done. Because you'll need that for the RCAP grant. That is a very competitive grant. It's a 50% requirement. I think we can get it based off of the acreage over at the Old Yeadon Swim Club. So I do think we should apply for the development grant that is due to DCD. I think it's March 30th, I think. But we do need council authorization before we can apply for that. The RCAP is totally separate. It's a drawdown grant. We have been talking about that. I know we talked about it with Councilor Cave and Councilor Francis, something that we most certainly want to do. But this other smaller grant, I think will only line us up and help us for the larger project and larger grant. That's all I wanted to say.
I have a question.
Consideration is for a motion. I'm sorry, there was a suggestion for a motion. So the consideration is for a motion to apply for, Mr. Nichols, could you please repeat what it is that I was distracted.
Mr. Nichols, I have a question.
So Councilor Roquel, I'm gonna ask.
I have a question about what he's getting ready to ask for.
Councilor Roquel,
I want to make sure that the revitalization study grant is different from a feasibility
study. You have to wait until you're recognized to be able to speak. I'm sorry, we have to be able to maintain order within this meeting. You're gonna have to wait until you're recognized.
But when I
for
said
you to be able to speak.
But now,
Okay. So Councilor Roquel, I'm gonna issue a first warning that please, we're gonna ask that you
please proceed.
Wait until you're recognized or we're gonna have to mute you. So
please proceed.
Mr. Nichols, can you please repeat the motion that you presented to us?
Well, the motion is what Councilor Roquel said about applying for the DCED grant, asking council authorization for borough management to apply for the DCED grant to do a revitalization plan, development plan. We can name it whatever we want, but it is for revitalization, economic development, things of that nature, so we can have an actual plan in order for us to apply for a larger RCAP grant in the future, which is the fall.
Okay, so I'm
not confusing you.
No, you're not confusing me. I'm just, if this is a grant that is due in March, the end of March, I think we should have some more discussion about what it is that we're going to present and then bring it to us at our March meeting, since you all can prepare for what you need and then bring a more comprehensive, I just don't think that this should just be on a whim, but and I don't think that this should just be the recommendation of one counselor. Councilor Roquel can ask for an executive session to have a conversation with the counselors regarding exactly what it is that we need, and then that you all can prepare for the grant, and then we'll still be able to vote on it in our March meeting in a timely fashion with more information about what it is that we're voting for. Because again, if these are grants that are going to require matching funds, then we need to make sure that we have conversations about those as well. Okay, and I understand that everyone wants, recreation and development, but they also come at a price, and we don't have an unlimited budget here in Yeadon, so we would need to have some more conversation about this, and then bring this to our March meeting, for our March caucus meeting for a discussion, and then our March legislative meeting for a vote.
Madam President, may I speak?
Councilor McCabe?
Yeah, I do think it should have been brought to us earlier, but I do wonder if we want to do some sort of call meeting so that a decision could be made sooner. Because it sounds like something that we want to participate in. But I do agree that the rest of us should be brought on board.
Absolutely. And I think that between now and Mr. Nichols, between now and our March meeting, if we are able to approve it at our March meeting, will you still have enough time to be able to get the grant done for the March 30th deadline? If you start preparing now.
I will, yeah, I'll start preparing for the grant now, and then we can submit for your March meeting. Yes.
Okay, so I would just ask that the information be provided to all counselors, so we're all on the same page as Counselor Road Cloud. Thank you for taking the initiative, but everyone also needs to be involved as well. And maybe you can meet with Mr. Nichols and let him know, and he can advise you of the steps that we've already taken towards development and towards the development of those sites, in particular the Yeadon Swim Club, and as well as the old movie theater site. So we'll look forward to some additional information and then circle back for our caucus meeting and then for our next legislative meeting. All right. So I don't believe that there's anything else.
Did I say one more thing?
Councilor McCabe.
Mr. Nichols could expedite things by sending us some written material on it, on the grant, so that we have an idea before we actually begin interacting about it, about what the grant is.
Yeah, so that's what it is that I'm expecting between now and our next caucus meeting, where we could have a discussion about the information that was presented to us.
I have a question.
Councilor Road Cloud.
I have a question for Mr. Nichols. Mr. Nichols, are you familiar with the revitalization study grant?
I am, Councilor Road Cloud.
Are you in a position to give a briefing as to what that grant actually, what it is actually? Revitalization grant, revitalization study grant. What is it?
So, Councilor Road Cloud, I'm
asking Mr. Nichols if he could just give us a brief education on what a revitalization study grant is. What does it consist of? That's all I asked him.
Councilor Road Cloud,
do you not want him to answer that question?
Councilor Road Cloud, you are very aware that our caucus
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you.
For our discussion. All right, so just for the public's knowledge, our caucus meetings are where we have our discussions and we include the public, and we have the opportunity to have longer discussions about such things. And this is where we bring in that new information. Councilor Road Cloud hadn't had her code meeting prior to then, which is why we presented her code meeting tonight instead of at our caucus meeting. But this type of information can also be discussed offline, so we can be more prepared to have these conversations in public. So, Mr. Nichols, if you wouldn't mind sending us some information and maybe even posting it on our website. But having the discussion here at this meeting was not on our agenda, and it was not in our published agenda. So it would not be appropriate to continue that discussion. Since Councilor Road Cloud indicated that she's concluded her report, we will move on to Councilor Johnson for Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like council to entertain a motion to hire Ricardo Maxey as a full-time employee for the Public Works Department.
So moved. Second.
All right, having been moved and seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Councilor Road Cloud.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that motion? I was still irritated.
The motion is to hire Ricardo Maxey as a full-time employee for the Public Works Department.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Councilor Jones Waters.
Yes.
Councilor Cave.
Yes.
Councilor McCabe.
Yes.
Councilor Francis.
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me. The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
I have a second motion, and someone please help me with the last pronunciation of the Tim. I can't pronounce his last name, but an employee to be hired as well, full-time for the Public Works Department.
That looks
So
like
moved.
Timothy Swearzek to me.
Swearzek.
Swearzek.
Timothy
Sorry if we butchered your
Swearzek.
name, Tim, if you're listening.
So moved.
Second.
All right, having been moved and seconded, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Counselor Roadcloud,
Yes.
Counselor Jones Waters,
Yes.
Counselor Cade,
Yes.
Counselor McCabe,
Yes.
Counselor Francis,
Yes.
Counselor Johnson.
Yes.
So yes from me, the vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
That concludes my report, asking council to accept minutes report read as at caucus meeting.
Thank you so much.
That concludes my report.
All right, we'll move on to public safety.
Thank you, Madam President. The public safety minutes stands as submitted in caucus last week. And the only thing to underscore, we went over that, is that the next public safety meeting will be held next Saturday, February 27th at 9:30. It will be on Zoom. The public welcome to attend. It is posted, that information is posted on our website. There ends public safety report. Unless the chief has anything?
The only thing I'll throw out there is remind everybody for Tuesday, February 23rd at 11 a.m. I'll be having the second Good Morning Yeadon program. And I'll be putting a link out shortly for the Zoom link connection so everybody can join. But I'll ask you to accept the police report as submitted by Lieutenant Burns at caucus.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam President.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to ask if Mr. Stokes had anything from emergency management regarding the storm, since we are continuing, and then I'll recognize you, Dr. McCabe, if that's okay.
That's fine.
The Public Works and myself were out today managing the borough. We had no issues. They were doing their job, cleaning up the roads to keep it passable for the borough. The only issue that we have, it was brought up earlier, we do have people who are still putting out stuff in the streets. I had to talk to some residents in the 800 block of Bullock Avenue and advise them that they will not be allowed to be doing that anymore. And most people saying, "Oh, we've been doing it." Let's let them know that it's not allowed. So the storm clearance was okay.
This one, 225.
And that completes my update on emergency management.
All right, thank you. And then Dr. McCabe?
Director Stokes, I have a question for Director Stokes.
Okay, Dr. McCabe, if you could, one second. Counselor Roadcloud has a question for Mr. Stokes.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Stokes, with respect to emergency management, that issue that was brought up earlier this week with respect to the electrical situation, are we going to do anything with respect to speaking to the surrounding businesses?
Yes, I am going to be getting in touch with the Church Lane organization for the businesses in reference to that issue that we had. And Highway actually disconnected that outlet, so nothing can be used. But yes, I'm going to be meeting with them as soon as we can get a meeting together.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Dr. McCabe, thank you for your patience.
Yes, I just wanted to have Mayor Hepkins clarify that the next meeting, he said, is next week, and is he considering next week be the 27th of February? Is that?
Yes, next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to be clear on.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to show up. I didn't want to show up this Saturday.
Yeah, next week.
You know, the whole idea of next is
Right.
different for different people. So
Right.
you have to say the date. But thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for the clarification. Mr. Mayor, does that end your report?
That ends our report. Yes, Madam President.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Francis for Recreation?
Yes, good evening, Madam President. Good evening, everybody. Madam President, please accept my report which was submitted at caucus. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you. If nothing further, may I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second? Great.
Second.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Mr. Nichols, we look forward for your information. Councilor Rocal, we'll look forward to your follow-up. Have a great evening, everyone.